Hi and welcome to Beyond the Racing Line, the Formula One podcast by fans, for fans in the Beyond the Racing Line headquarters with my man Tristan and with our new signage in here, the new light box in the headquarters. What do you think?
Our child, it's like our child. It's our child, isn't it?
We've spent a lot of time admiring it.
I reckon I've been here for
51 minutes.
I've been here for a good hour. I spent most of the time just staring at it.
Our great mate, Watsy, thanks to All Signs. All Signs, that's right, All Signs from Point Cook, the sponsor of the 3-2-1. He arrived on the weekend to come and check out the headquarters, and he came bearing gifts, and probably the best gift that anyone could hope for in a headquarters. Yep. When we went through the list of things that we'd hope to have in a man cave, I didn't actually consider something like this, and I'll tell you, this would go straight to the top of the list. Check out the socials to have a look at what we're talking about, but there is just the most wonderful light box in the headquarters, and the recording space is coming together nicely.
I can tell you, you're pretty happy with yourself in your photo too, aren't you? I can tell.
Well, I was more happy about having a photo with the sign.
With the sign.
I'm not so much myself, it's more the sign.
No, it's good. It looks good. Yeah, anyway, it's there. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
It's just, next level.
Yep.
But as we promised, and we've actually delivered on this promise. Sometimes when we promise these things, we haven't delivered in the last couple of years.
Yeah, true.
Remember when we used to try and record something every week? And we used to do all the bonus shows and all sorts of things like that?
I know.
That was before kids.
Yeah.
Makes kids,
I'm sure if we're getting paid,
it would make a difference.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to.
Yep. Yeah, but
Anyway.
We're going to do a bit of a fan frenzy catch-up, aren't we? Because we've missed out on a little bit of fan frenzy action in the last couple of weeks, and we felt bad about it because people go to such an effort of coming up with some fantastic questions.
Did you catch the comment that I mentioned to you last week that someone thought we'd have...
We're going to start with it.
A massive falling out.
Yeah. But I didn't want to miss them out, but then we're going to talk some Vegas. We're going to talk some other
Vegas.
Things. We're going to have a look at social media. It's going to be a bit of a social media session.
There's been lots and lots and lots going on in terms of just like... Have you caught the snippets of Vegas of like pit entry exit? You've seen the neons of the set. That's what I've been keeping an eye on this week.
I like it.
A lot of like American fans who live in Vegas have just been leaking their everyday photos about the setup, and it's different. It's different. There's going to be some... Yeah, even the show runs too that have happened at the moment. It's an ice skating ring.
It is going to be.
It's going to be one mega race.
It is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because the temperatures... Anyway, we're not getting into that
No,
yet.
we're getting into it. Wait till we get to Vegas.
We'll get there.
It's a very casual episode.
Paul Cook starts us off, and it starts off with the question that we were talking about in the last episode. Rumour has it you two are fighting, and that's why we're not getting the podcast yet. I may have started that rumour just now. Please say it ain't so. It is not so. We are still very much in love. However, unfortunately, as we discussed last week, life did get in the way, and he did want to make sure that he wasn't misinterpreted. Thanks, Paul, for checking in on us. It wasn't the case, but it's good to be back for another one. Shane Freer's next. You on to Shane's?
Yep.
Because I forgot to tell you how we're going to read these comments.
No, I've worked it out already.
Well done.
So what are we looking at? Yeah, race ranking of 7 from Shane.
Which was for
Mexico. Gee, it feels like forever away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does. Really.
We probably don't... Let's stick to the questions, I reckon.
All right, just questions?
Yep.
Not doing the votes or anything like
unless
that?
there's a dud that you really want to get to.
He gave dud to Fernando. Lance hadn't covered all weekend. I've said, look, to be quite honest, no, I'm not buying it. Question, what's the one change that you would make to F1? For him, it's smaller and lighter cars.
Oh, you know, I'd love to see smaller cars again.
Yeah, I think so.
It would help. It would help tremendously in all sorts of places.
Yep.
Monaco would be number one.
Yep.
The other change I'd make is better viewing from the side of the track. So
okay.
Somehow come up with better mounds,
so
you can look down on the track. I'll tell you what, Brazil had some great viewing.
Yeah, didn't it?
Sitting up over that solid fence. You could actually really see it.
You probably could. I think we talked about that. I think it was Zandvoort too we looked at, wasn't it? There was just some banking that was just absent of viewers.
Yep. Yeah, that's a little one. But there's lots of changes I'd be making.
Yep.
I'd be going to places that, in different conditions, like that they are with Vegas.
Yep.
I would make cars be able to drive in wet weather conditions with 20 minutes of notice or half hour notice so they can make changes to the cars.
Yep.
But, yeah, they're obviously working on those things.
It's
good that they're listening.
I think so too. I think right now, I'm actually really comfortable at the moment as to where we are for the field and the sport and just the championship. I mean, I know this year's been an absolute whitewash, but I just sort of feel... I thought the regulations are going to take quite a long time now that we had a runaway winner in all aspects of whether it be Red Bull or Max. But I don't know, just got that feeling that next year with
closer.
Ferrari there, Mercedes seem to have little bits and pieces. McLaren there. I mean, you never know if Aston are going to get it together again at the end of the year. It's just, I feel good that right now we're probably in that holding pattern where maybe we just don't do anything. Because we had that a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where everyone caught and then we changed the regs.
Yeah. Which is it's
so Formula One to do that.
Yeah.
We want competition when even spread. We're almost on the cusp of it. Let's do a full regulation change and just throw it out the window. So, yeah, I don't know. Right now, I'm in a really nice holding pattern as a fan. I really like where the sport's going and what we've got. I feel good about next year too.
If it was number one, smaller cars would be number one for me, and dramatically smaller.
Yeah, really?
100%. I don't want just a little bit smaller. I want dramatically narrower and shorter cars.
Right.
Yep.
I think it'd probably look a little bit too novel if they were too much smaller. I think pretty happy with it. Yeah, I like what we've got right now too. One of the best looking generations.
Think about how the Formula 1 cars, how big they used to be.
No, yeah.
And that's where I want 90s. I want 90s.
90s, 94, 95s.
Yep. Size.
Even the early 2000s, they weren't too bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that one, Shane. Jordan, let's go to... You had a double day to Aston Martin. I can't even remember why. But do you think there could be interesting strategies if teams could run mixed compounds on the car? On a circuit where the front left is wearing significantly faster, running a hard tyre there, and mediums as the other three tyres. Mediums in the rear, softs up front, etc. What do you reckon about that idea?
I don't mind it. I think if I was going to go along the lines of something like that, I'd probably be more inclined to be open to not a full four-tyre change. Like if you look at things like Enduro and Touring Car, where if you are very, I don't know, like Le Mans prime example, you're very right-hand car heavy. So when you come in, you don't have to change all four.
Yep.
Like if the left side is okay and you've got good tread and you still have good traction and grip, then maybe just leave left. Like open...
Is that because of time being saved?
I think
because they've only got a certain amount of pit crew?
But even that, just looking at... Like if you open yourself to the possibility that maybe you only need a fresh set on one side, you might have a real rear-heavy dependent track, so you can just change the rears. But it would just give you that option to do something different. You'd also look at, there's that potential of tyre saving too. Instead of a full set, maybe in quali you get through with just a fresh set of fronts.
Yep.
So then there's a little bit more variation in terms of what you've got available rather than throwing all four out. Because I'm sure we've seen up close in Australia when they come off that there are sets that very minimal wear or pick up or anything like that come off the cars. So, I don't know, be open to something like that if you can get something a little bit different.
Tyre talk can get a little bit boring.
It can be a little bit boring.
But it's like such an integral part of Formula 1.
Yep.
And I would love to see, for me... My major change would be, let's get some tyres which are bloody awesome.
Yep.
They're going to last the whole race.
Yep.
And just mandate the amount of stops that you must make.
Yeah.
And let's see the cars flat out. Remember that race where we saw them flat out because they were on...
Yeah.
Where was that? That was... God, this season's gone so quickly and my memory's so bad at this time of night. Where was that? Where we saw that they were mandated how often they stopped?
Where did we go? A couple of weeks ago. It was 3. I think it was Austin, wasn't it? Where we were looking at dangerous tyres.
Was it?
I can't remember. It was 3. Yeah, that mandated third stop.
Yeah. And I think...
mandated third stop.
Yeah. Feels like it was before then.
It might have been just before.
Qatar? I don't know.
Yeah, it might have been Qatar, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, that element of just full-blown racing at its absolute fastest... I think we need some tyres with that option in mind.
Yep.
So I think we just need bloody awesome tyres that don't wear, because Pirelli are made to make these tyres the way that they are, because they want to add that element of strategy in there and all sorts of things like that. Well, I'd love to see a race where we just have unreal tyres that don't wear that much, and they're going to keep their grip, and the cars don't have a reason to back off at any point during the race. I don't want to see tyre management or... drivers being conservative with tyres and having to warm them all up and all sorts of stuff. It certainly plays its part in the sport, but I want to see a couple of races. given a trial where we have really great tyres that are just going to last for the whole race and are going to be able to be absolutely abused the whole way through.
Can I mention Vegas tyres, like right now, considering we're on tyres?
Well, it's going to be absolutely a must because of the temperatures. Tell me more.
All right, so if we're looking at just Pirelli released a little bit of information around what they're bringing to Vegas. So the C3, the C4, and we'll have the C5 as a soft compound. They're expecting the rears, so the rear right.
So when we go to C5, that's the softest of the compounds?
Softest, yep. So we're going softest as soft, and then all the way through. And that's because of the current track surface, which we'll talk later on. Mm-hmm. They're worried about grip is going to be quite low, which I expect it will be too. So track evolution, a lot of this from Pirelli is ranked from a perspective of 1 to 5. So track evolution is predicted as a 5, which I think is a given.
But
then the rear right, high lateral stress on a rear right, and then medium lateral stress on a rear left. So the rears are going to be a serious issue. Fronts are looking okay. It's going to be minimal stress on the fronts. If you've seen the track layout, it's quite straight. It's almost like a mini sort of glammed up Baku. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be quite a lot of stress on the rears as well. Tyre stress just overall is a ranking of 3. So it's sitting right in that middle window.
Yeah, so it's not, tyres aren't going to be the biggest issue in terms of wear. It's more about trying to get them to grip in those temperatures.
Yeah, so if you're looking like who that's going to benefit to, as we're sort of working through the app, it's going to benefit Ferrari hugely. And looking at what we just saw in Brazil from Mercedes, it's going to work very much against Mercedes.
But in complete opposite conditions, though. If you think about Brazil, it's all about the heat and...
It chewed them.
Yeah.
It chewed them, and if we're at the softest extremity of the compound... then
they're completely cold.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're rolling across a surface, though...
Yep.
The more you slip on the surface, the more tyre wears.
Yeah,
it's generally how it goes. But because it's going to be so cold, they might be a little bit stiffer.
Ferrari don't like the hards, so I think that's why the softest hard compound will do them well. Anyway, bit of tyre chat. Tyre talk is boring, isn't it?
It's not the greatest part.
It's not. Like, it's interesting.
It's interesting when it comes into strategy in races.
Yeah,
but yeah,
just in general.
Yeah. Paul Cook.
Paul Cook so caught up in
Going back to Austin.
Tyre talk. Question, going back to Austin, let the FIA only text 4 cars. Test, I think it's supposed to say test. Going back to Austin, test, 4 cars for wear on the wooden plank.
So I remember when Leclerc and...
Yeah, we did, yeah. If Leclerc and Hamilton were disqualified, surely George and Carlos were a good chance to be non-compliant too. Should the FIA update its approach to testing plank wear? Yes. I saw a really interesting stat the other week too about the randomization of who is selected. Mercedes and Ferrari have been the most, in air quotes, randomly selected.
Well, they came out and said it wasn't random.
7 and 6 is what they were looking at. And then at the lower end of the scale, Williams have only been tested once for the entire season, as too with Haas.
They look for certain characteristics in cars.
There was a really great photo. I think it was from Kim Illman, where he had photos of the rear of all cars going through turn 4, and you could see Max versus Charles and also Lewis, and you could visibly see the lateral load and how high the Red Bull was running as opposed to the other. So it was just that naked eye photography 100%. Shot, you would absolutely...
And so that's why they selected those cars.
Yeah.
So it wasn't random. I'm with you. I thought it was random, but it wasn't random at all. They had selected those 2 cars because they identified that there might be an issue here.
Yeah.
And so they went and did that. The part I have a real problem is they didn't go and select the teammates. They didn't go and select everybody else, and this is where Paul Cook's getting to. So should they update the test when something's happened?
Absolutely.
His solution, which I completely agree with, I reckon if one driver is penalised while in Parc Fermé, all cars are then examined.
Yep.
I absolutely agree with you on that one.
But should we not just be checking that kind of stuff anyway?
Well, it was going to add... The FIA delegate reckoned it was going to add another 5 hours. So the way that it works, is you got to remove parts, and then they're measured, and so you can't just measure it on the bottom of the car. You've got to remove parts for it to be measured, and the issue is then you've got to have a delegate watching while the team pulls apart the cars.
I think it's totally fine. We're a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Well, and we see... Well, I have... One of my favourite things to do is to talk to the steward, scrutineers, watching them work on the cars in the pit lane at Melbourne.
I don't need to see it. Like, I don't want to watch it as a viewer.
No, but they just need to watch them take it off, and that's the part that goes and gets measured. I wonder whether they can change it around so that there is actually a spot where they can actually just go and measure the planks if this is something they're going to be doing.
Remember the rear wing that Mercedes had tested in Brazil where they had that tool to do it?
Yep.
So, but again, we've got so many innovations in Formula One. Why can't we have... I totally agree with you. Why can't we have some sort of tool that just measures that? But again, if it takes you 5 hours... Tell you what, if you're looking for someone to stand there for 5 hours while you do that and you're happy to pay them, I'll do that.
Yep. Sam's idea was... in NASCAR, they have a laser room where they go and do some testing, and they are using HD cameras and certain laser projectors, and they can test panel gaps and all sorts of things like that. Absolutely, but it's like, once again, you've got to send all this stuff to travel and move around and stuff like that, isn't it? So
there's scope to do better.
There is absolutely.
Plenty of scope. And I don't buy into the excuse that it takes 5 hours.
Yep.
Who cares?
You'll go, my go.
Anyway, my go. Adam Hughes. Question down, Adam. Should Daniel Ricciardo stay at AlphaTauri, knowing the RB19 is coming, and build the team around him, or go to Red Bull? For him, personally, he'd stay and build.
This is a good one, because I know that Adam has the same sort of infatuation of Dan Ricciardo as what I do.
Can you build an AlphaTauri around you? Do AlphaTauri want...
I think...
Are they the type of team that is interested in building, or are they just playing the sister team role, and that's really all they're there for?
Going back and thinking about Adam's last few comments, I reckon he's on the idea that they'll likely be sold at some stage soon, and so they've been building them up. We've heard that maybe that since the death of Dietrich Mateschitz, there isn't the same direction with supporting two cars, and so they'll be open to a sale at some stage, probably waiting for it to be the absolute optimum time to sell.
Yeah.
And so I think possibly what Adam might be getting towards is, well, if they do sell, let's say they sell to like a, I don't know, top of my head, like a Ford, or who else has been looking at getting into a Porsche or something like that, and then all of a sudden you build that team around you. Now, I don't think Dan Ricciardo is in the time frame to see that change through.
No.
While being able to make the big changes. And so, look, to be honest with you, I'd be going to Red Bull. It is the absolute poison chalice.
Yeah.
The Red Bull seat, because Max is so brilliant. He just absolutely pantsers all drivers. I think Dan Ricciardo is an absolute level and a half above all the contenders since Dan Ricciardo.
Yep.
I don't think anyone has been in the same ballpark as Dan since then. People have forgotten how good he is. So, no, I'd be going to Red Bull because you're a chance of winning a championship there. Absolute chance. Yep. Put pressure on Max and you never know what might happen. Simon, what do you think is going wrong at Aston? To go from second best team near the back is pretty shocking. Yes, other teams have improved well, but that is a particularly bad season given the rumour of sale. Do you think the workers are disenfranchised with the current owners?
It was really interesting to hear fans when we put up the pass or fail post about Aston throughout the last couple of weeks, where a lot have given them a pass mark for the overall season, which we mentioned on the episode last week. But then also, a lot have talked about, have we become a little bit too starstruck because of the way that the season has started and the level of unexpectancy with how they've started, that we need to remember that, yeah, they've just built a brand new facility, they've built brand new infrastructure, it's really a 5 to 6 year plan, and we're probably only 2 years in, and maybe this is just a really unexpected spike that as a fan you've got excited for, we've all jumped on, and now that that's disappeared, are we feeling just a little bit frustrated that what looked like a little bit of a fairy tale 12 rounds ago has suddenly dissipated?
Well, he was on the podium, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Last race out.
Well, that's it, yeah. Like,
what went wrong? It's fairly simple what went wrong. Everyone else developed, like you said.
Yep.
And then the problem is their developments just weren't working. So they started with a really fantastic package.
Yep.
What they've tried to add to the car just has not worked. They're not completely writing off that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But currently, it's not working for them and they don't understand it properly.
Yeah.
That horrible word of correlation between the computers and what's going on track and what's happening in the tunnel.
To Mercedes, wasn't it, a couple of years ago, was that they were, what was correlating with the ride height was not transferring on track.
And the last issue is that they've shot up the rankings.
Yeah.
And what happens when you shoot up the rankings is all of a sudden you get penalised
Yes.
with a current ranking list, and you actually lose a bunch of development time. So they haven't actually been able to solve that one. They've gone back to the old spec. So
ripped everything off, back to the setup spec from Australia, which, I mean, it's
direction hasn't worked for them, but to be able to put together a podium and a fifth, was it, I think, in Brazil? It shows that there's still a really good package there. It's just not quite getting it together everywhere.
I really like what they've done, which is what Mercedes didn't do, is that they just eventually got to the point, and they didn't try to dance around it or sugarcoat it, and just said, no, it's not work, take everything off. Which I think has been Mercedes' probably major downfall this season, is that the zero pod concept hadn't worked. It wasn't working, but they continued to persevere with this and tell us that it was going to work, when I think a lot of fans could see it generally wasn't going to work. So I admire them for just being brutally honest and going, no. And just ripping it off.
And they've been through that in a couple of races, whereas Mercedes, they took a long time. They took
half a season.
McLaren did it before the season even started, and look what happened for them. Like they knew their direction was wrong before the season started. They knew they couldn't fix it straight away, so they put up with 5 really, really bad races before they started updating the cars. And look at where they've come now. So and there is certainly a merit in getting out.
You've just got to own it. You've just got to own it. You've got to say, no, it's not working, and you'd get it for the betterment of yourself and your team. You don't need. We can all see it on track whether it's working or not. You don't have to try and glamorise it up. Paige, what's with this new trend of impeding in the pit lane? This is a great question, as I predict what the rest of it's going to say here. We go the entire year without it happening, and then all of a sudden it's happened in the last 2 races. I'm not sure if it's just a coincidence or purely strategic. Thoughts? It's a great question. It has just come out of nowhere, and it's not that we're just talking about it and suddenly we've shined a light on it. I think it's got a lot to do with that minimum delta time.
So they've clamped down what's going on track during that time.
So rather than get a slap on the wrist for making sure you're meeting that minimum delta time, when you haven't left the pit lane yet, the clock hasn't started. So, if anything, teams and drivers have been really smart about it. But then again, I disliked a couple of weeks ago where we said in Singapore, no, we're going to crack down on this. And then they did. And then we did it, and then we did nothing. And then we went to Brazil and we did it again. I disliked that, where it took us 2 races to then go and give. I thought a 2-place grid penalty was absolutely the perfect
amount.
I really did. I really did. 5 is too harsh. 1 is not enough. 2, is that enough to... If you're on pole, you're third, and you're like, ugh, I don't want to... 5 is too much.
What's the answer here, though? Because
I think that is the answer.
Cars aren't... No, but what's the answer for teams? Because cars aren't allowed to create a gap on track a lot of the time because of the minimum time they're allowed to go around the track. They need to build that gap. That's just the way racing is. They're not allowed to do it on the pit exit, although, mind you, they could in Brazil because of the length of the pit lane. They're not allowed to impede in the pit lane, which I'm 100% for. I don't think they should be allowed to block. What's the answer?
Do you just extend the session by, say, 2 minutes? Or a minute? You don't need a little time. You don't need a lot of time.
But they all wait until the last 2 minutes anyway.
But then what you do is you just go garage order. You just 1... 20-second timer. Well,
might as well be a shootout.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe that's the answer. Is it don't let them choose when they're coming out. Green light's on. Sargent goes first. 20 seconds. Albon goes. 20 seconds. Next. So then you're creating the gap. The drivers aren't... I mean, they're going to do it themselves anyway. So rather than force them to dawdle on track, miss the minimum delta time, get blocked in the pit lane, you go in your order, and that's your order you're going.
Is that nearly a one-lap shootout without the big gaps?
Kind of, but it just gives you the gaps, doesn't it? But again, I look at it and I think, how much is it really holding us back? I don't think it's really holding us back.
See, I think the rule should be like what they did in Brazil. You must stay to one side.
Stay to the left's okay.
And if you want to dilly-dally in the pit lane, someone's going to be able to drive around you.
Yes.
If you're caught blocking, then the penalty comes out.
And that's probably it. It's probably what we've got.
The problem is some pit lanes are so narrow you can't actually enforce that one. But particularly with some of the ones coming up as well. But it'll be interesting. Yeah, it is a current trend, but it's brought on by the FIA, and then it's an unintended consequence. Maybe that you're not allowed to spend a certain amount of time in pit lane might have to be part of it. So if you're causing people to spend too much time in pit lane, there might be a timer to get out of the pit lane.
My
go?
You'll go. Sam Pearsall.
Oh my goodness, we got a long one.
Go through the duds. I like the duds. I've just had a quick look at the duds. I don't mind.
Duds. F1 Broadcasting, first offence, not using the mariachi F1 theme for the introduction.
I like that.
Is the mariachi
the Mexican theme music?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep. Second offence, cutting to Perez having an interview rather than showing the on-track battle between Hamilton and Ferrari.
Yes, tick.
Yep, absolutely. Third offence, and Page's gripe, cutting between helmet cam, curb cam, and circuit cams when Gasly Norris were battling just made incredibly confusing.
No, not buying that. Keep up.
Wait, you reckon
it's fine?
You're okay with them?
Yeah, give me lots of different angles.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. No, keep up, Page.
Fourth offence.
Yep.
When Ricciardo and Russell were battling hard on the final lap, and they say, "Great move." Is about to be made, and then cut to Max cruising over the finish line. This one's a hard one.
Tough one, because you've got to watch the winner win.
You got to watch the winner win. Do you have to watch the winner win live?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to know when he finishes.
You do. You generally
F1 desperately needs a split screen, or
they had the little cameras above the timing grid on the left of the screen when you need it.
No, but they need an extra screen, so you're showing Max crossing the line on the main screen.
Yep.
However, you go to the little box where it's like the action screen that is in a little box down in the right-hand corner or something like that.
I guess my question to Sam would be, if that was Sargent and Stroll,
would you be interested?
Would you be upset about it right now?
Good question. Not bad. My biggest gripe with the broadcasters at the moment is that we still are going to replays of the start within the most exciting part of the race.
Yes, wait till lap 12.
Lap 2 is not the time to replay this start, because there is still a battle going on. That battle will be over in 12 laps, or that battle will have calmed down in 20 laps.
Yeah.
And that's the time when it goes into a little bit of a lull, when they go into time management phase. That's the time to replay the start. Keep people waiting for this. It does my head in. Question, tinfoil hat time. Did Alonso squirt the throttle on turn 3 during F1 to bottle everyone else's qualifying lap to save his 10th? Also allow Lance the opportunity to get out of the bottom 5. I thought that question on Sunday morning, but after the race, how much can the great man do? How much can the great man take before he'll want to jump ship? No, he didn't, because if you were going to do that, you would not do it the way that he was going to do it. He rode a curb and could have ended up anywhere. It just so happened that he didn't end up in the wall. I know he's a talented driver, but you'd be able to lose it somewhere else with a lot of ease rather than doing it there at that speed. So, no, not quite there. Next question.
Next question from Kingsley.
I don't think you had a question.
I don't think you had a question, yeah.
You don't get a mention if you don't get a question.
Yes, sorry. Zach Fitzroy, so Zach's.
Hang on, maybe there is a question in there.
No, there's not.
Well,
there's not.
Does this mean Dan will get a seat next season? I don't know. Anyway,
there's no question. That's no question. Zach Fitzroy, question. What are the chances Danny Rick gets a promotion next season? So I touched on that a little bit.
Well, what are your chances? Go on. Name it. Promotion next season. That doesn't say whether the starting of the season happens halfway through the season.
60-40.
60 not happening?
60 not happening, 40 happening, yeah.
Start of the season or any time through the season, that is?
Start of the season. Really rip the Band-Aid off quick.
Whoa, really?
Really. If straight away it's not working and someone is breathing down their neck, then you make that call nice and early. You can't persevere with it.
Okay.
If there is a championship, if there is a 4-way fight and you've only got one in it and everyone else has got 2, you've got to make that call.
I'll go the same percentages, but it's throughout the season. I think there might be a move throughout the season, and I think they'll let Perez will have this uncanny ability to look okay for the rest of this season, and then he'll go and drop back off next season, and then they'll be looking at Dan Ricciardo, I reckon. Matthew Roberts, over to you. Oh, no, is it me?
No, it's you.
Checo or Lewis for P2 in the championship. Who's going to win it? This is a bit hard because we've actually seen another race since.
Yeah. I think he'll hang on. I think Checo hangs on now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just.
Too much has gone wrong for Lewis, the DNF, and then the lack of performance in the last race. I think it's a little bit tricky. Let's go to, assuming this is a bit of a socials outing.
Yep. That's it. That's all of them, isn't it? That's all of it for Mexico.
It is for Mexico,
yes. So thank you. Thank you to everyone who was patient with those.
Absolutely. We might go to a few questions from Austin in a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Pass or fail? You were asking for a pass or fail on the man Leclerc.
I was, yes. This is a tough one, wasn't it? Pass or fail. So at the current point in time, which was a couple of weeks ago, we put up 4 podiums, 166 points, 3 pole positions. I think that blew it to 4, didn't it? And it was a pass or fail just for Charles on his own.
If you ask Adam said tougher for sure due to expectation. Positives, strategy hasn't been a complete disaster. Excellent driver pairing. Is this for Ferrari in general or Leclerc?
I think this is just for Eddie. It's just sort of generally summed up because when we put the one up for Aston as well, a lot of people went drivers too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. But was your question for Leclerc or for Ferrari?
My question was just Leclerc only, not Ferrari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Negatives, the board, shoelaces seem to be tangled but not tied. That's an cryptic thing. I like it. Score is a pass. He was saying for Ferrari. Okay. Dr. Auto Art, our man Chris from Dr. Auto Art.
Yep.
This is a tough one to judge. Hey, they're just too inconsistent. Those pole position laps were great, but he does nothing with them. It's a pass, but only just. Interesting. Sam, hard topic. I think due to Sainz being almost a full win ahead, his consistency in qualifying and race pace and being outscored now by Lando in a car that's only got going in a third of the way through the season.
Yep.
I have to say technical fail, but the golden child of Ferrari, I honestly wonder how long it will take for him to leave them because they lack the championship drive for him. Don't know where to go. And Paul Cook, yeah, tough, but as they say, if you're not first, you're last. Fail. I like it. I like it.
Simon Witt, second best car on the grid.
Missed that one, sorry.
Worst team on the grid, coupled with some driver mistakes, has made life hard for supporters to give this year a pass. Expected a lot more. So Simon, not as open to
thoughts.
Giving a pass. Yeah, you'd have to say a pass, but just
for Leclerc.
Just. If 50 was a pass, you'd give him 51.
See, pass, is easy, isn't it? Pass is easy.
Yep.
I think, has it been a good season for him? I'd say no. Whereas a pass, he passes.
Yep.
But has he had a good season? No. And I'm with people. Sainz had the win.
Yep.
And there was an opportunity gone begging.
Yep.
He hasn't really, pants Sainz in any way throughout the season. He's been faster than him at times, but hasn't really been across it that much. He's had a couple of pole positions, but who cares about pole positions when you can't race the race? And it's not necessarily on him, it's on Ferrari. But
that could be just a car setup, it's a one-lap qualifier, and then they know next season they've got to focus on Sunday race pace as well.
So no, for me it's a fail. I'm not feeling it for him. So.
Right. You're not a
well, sorry, no, it's a pass, but it should be a fail, really, because who cares if you pass? Although, mind you, D's are degrees, aren't they? That's the way uni works.
D's get degrees. That's how it works. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
All right, what are we diving into now?
Do you want to do some questions from earlier on in the fan frenzy? I feel bad for wasting any questions.
Why? Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, question idea. With Cotter not the right track for a sprint, what would your changes be for the sprint format? We've talked about this a lot,
we did probably talk about it a lot. Yeah, we just talked about that.
Yeah, for him, he think that the GP or compound should be used. Sprint should be super soft and soft tyres only. Don't mind it.
Don't mind that. That's not too bad. Yeah.
If we go to Dean Holt, because I haven't actually put these in order, so I'm feeling bad for you, trying to put you on a spot.
No, I think I've got it. Dean, after a bit of a dull sprint, do you think it should be a separate championship? Just like T20 in cricket, give the teams an option to pick different drivers, so give a junior driver a chance to show what they can do. I'm not a fan of this idea of getting different drivers in for different championships. It's not IndyCar. I know you've got things like that in other competitions. You've got Enduro, which have your gold, silver, and bronze drivers. I like it as a standalone championship. I like it as the idea of a different compound. Also like it of an idea of scrap it because I hate sprint, so I'm sort of open to those things. I do think it needs to be standalone, but at the same time, Max would have won that anyway.
Yeah.
Give a trophy. Like, have something different. I don't mind that. Like have it as just a separate. You need more than 6. 6 won't qualify as a championship for me. I think it's just novelty, and you're just trying to invent something for your 30-second fan.
Don't know. I'm not interested in the sprint championship. I don't think anyone else is that interested in the sprint championship.
I'd be a little bit more interested in it. But again, I still hate it. And I don't want to sell it.
I think if you're going to do something like that, you'd have to have like reverse grids or something like that.
Yep.
If you're going to have a full reverse championship, you'd have to have reverse grids,
extend it,
and some other weird novelty in it. I honestly, I preferred it when it had something to do with qualifying. I did prefer it when it had something to do with qualifying. Sam, question, Leadfoot Investor rather than the Barefoot Investor. Why do you think so many celebrities and sports people are investing in Alpine so publicly, especially American money rather than French?
Because that's probably where the dollars are.
Well, they haven't actually... There's not a lot of money being poured in from these guys.
No, but Mercedes don't need... I mean, you're not going to make money off Mercedes. Mercedes make their own. So does Ferrari. So does Aston. So does McLaren. So does Williams.
It's all about the publicity.
It really is.
It's about the glitz and the glamour. They're trying to find their spot on the grid. They're trying to find relevance amongst all these glamorous teams. There's talked about it.
Money to be made in Haas because they probably generate their own, and Gene Haas will just pump that into them as well. There isn't going to be any money in Alfa Romeo because they're soon going to become Audi, and they're going to generate their own revenue. So really, it's by default that you're there. AlphaTauri, they just beat off Red Bull. Mm-hmm. It's by default they're the only team that really is viable for investment. They're either going to sink or swim. Yep. Everyone else is doing it. Andretti are going to just make hand over fist money of their own when they come in.
Yep.
They really, really are.
Yep. I agree.
Yep. We're all going to jump on Andretti. You will. You'll be an overnight fan.
I will need to see honestly,
yep.
I'll need to see what the car looks like.
It'll be red, white and blue.
And I'm okay with that as long as they make it. No, as long as they make it look cool.
No, it's going to be like United Autosport colours. I hate the United.
Yeah, see, I'm okay with that as long as they make it look cool. I'm down with it as long as it looks good.
Speaking of new liveries, have you seen the Alpha? Not the Alpha. Have you seen the Alpine new livery for Vegas coming up? A little bit like a camo sort of look. Palace, just like, I don't mind it. It's subtle. But it's different.
I don't mind the subtle differences.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's right up your alley. It's not right glaring out there, which I know you're not a fan of.
I'm not a fan of putting American flags on the back of cars.
No.
You can make it look cool, but it's just, I don't know, it's been done.
Yeah. Tacky.
Paige, last question.
Paige, what do you think is essential to a Texas barbecue? I'll say this is right up your alley. I don't cook.
Oh,
at
man.
All. Speaking of, though, food.
Not cooking.
Yeah, speaking of not cooking, I had a great takeaway the other night. It had like a wild bourbon burger from Hungry Jack. I told you, this isn't me. Oh. It was ridiculously good. I loved it.
Okay,
yep.
I'll give it a go.
Fried chicken. All right, this is your question because
essential to Texas barbecue besides cold beers,
ribs. I'm just going to say
for me, it's got to be steak. And yeah, I do great ribs. I don't know if that's Texan ribs or not. I do baby back ribs. They are delicious, but smoke. Smoke is the absolute essential to Texas barbecue because you've got to cook it low and slow. If anyone listens to that Peter Crouch podcast, one of the presenters on that loves barbecue and he gets called a BBC, a barbecue, because he talks about barbecue too much. You can imagine what the C is for. Derogatory term.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I love barbecue. Low and slow, cook it all day. How good is that? Ribs, absolutely. Baby back ribs for me. Brisket is the absolute duck's nuts. I can't cook brisket, so I don't have a good enough smoker.
I wouldn't even know what brisket is unless you said, here's some brisket.
It's a big piece of beef that has just got all the rubble over it, and it just looks black and horrible, and as soon as you cut into it, it's juicy and falls apart, and smoky and deliciousness.
Okay.
Vegas, tell me about Vegas.
All right.
Let's move on to a preview of Vegas. It's going to be cold as all get out.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be slippery.
Now, the reason for the coldness is because it's during the night time. It's a 10 o'clock start. They're finishing at around about midnight on a Saturday, which allows everyone to party in the town. I think that's the main reason they're doing it. It's great for us because it means we're watching a 5 p.m. Sunday time race, which is just brilliant.
Delicious.
It is just brilliant. I was going to have to somehow get rid of the kids.
Let's talk exorbitant ticket pricing straight off the bat.
Okay.
This caught my eye this week.
Go on.
This caught my eye. So, Joe Pompilano, who is a Formula One journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead of the Las Vegas GP, ticket prices have experienced a significant drop due to an excess of unsold weekend packages. So we know that to go to Vegas, you're going to have to mortgage every single thing you own in your life, including your children, and then you will be able to watch it from a seat that isn't obstructed by infrastructure that stops you freeloading.
Yep.
So, on the 10th of the 8th, ticket prices, this was the cheapest recorded ticket prices for Thursday. Just give me your ballpark prediction for Thursday. If you want to go Thursday, you want to watch a little bit of action. Here in Australia, it's $49.
Thursday's practice day, isn't it?
Yeah, in Vegas it is.
What did you say it was here?
Like $49 for Thursday here.
I reckon it's gone up this year. But
it's $79. It's not much.
Okay. Yep. Let's go $400.
Close. $385.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Friday here in Australia is like $115 off the top of my head.
And they're qualifying though.
Yes. Yep.
And they're qualifying in Vegas.
Even in Australia, that's about $300 for qualifying.
No, not for general admin.
No, not for general admin. Sorry, I'm thinking like this is grandstand.
So is this for a grandstand seat that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think it is. Actually.
Okay. Yep. Let's go $600.
$825.
Yeah.
For just Friday.
Yep.
And then for race.
Yeah.
I guess how much are you going to pay? Watch race.
How much am I going to pay? I wouldn't pay more than $300.
Neither would I.
But
when you go to Vegas, how much are you paying at Vegas?
What are we paying? $1,500.
Close. We're paying $1,645.
That is disgusting.
Stupid. I could get a hospitality suite here in Australia for that price.
That is disgusting.
I really could. Anyway, so ticket prices, because of those exorbitant prices, they have plummeted. So the current get-in prices now, Thursday has come down 58%. It'll cost you $162. Friday has come down 62%. It's going to cost you $312. Saturday's still stupid. It's down 34%. It's going to cost you $1,087, which I'm not okay with. So I expect to see them come down a little bit more if they haven't come down already.
What do they have a percentage of what's sold?
I'll have a look now. I'm going to jump away and have a look. If I want to buy Vegas tickets.
All right. So the track is straight with some corners, and then it's straight with some corners. And the windy little bit.
An upside-down pig. I've seen it referred to.
Yep, absolutely. And it is absolutely that. This is going to absolutely support Williams. Now, I did a little bit of digging today.
Yep.
Williams, top 3. This is a podium. This is a Williams track without doubt. They've shown really strong results in tracks like this.
Yep.
It's going to help them again this week. And I think it's going to help them even more than somewhere like Baku. Baku had a few too many corners for it to work the way that it needs to work.
Yeah.
Top 3 for Williams is $67 at the moment, paying $67. Is that worth a $10 bet on Williams, do you think? I know there's, right, let's go. There's Verstappen and there should be Perez.
No,
okay.
It's not.
There's Verstappen, there should be Perez.
Yeah.
There won't be Mercedes in this situation.
Right.
Because they don't have the straight line speed.
Yeah, no.
You can remove them. Ferrari, I think, will be good, but we know that Ferrari can mess up.
Yep.
McLaren, you just never quite know where they're at. And I think Williams can be the best of the rest from there. I reckon Albon at $67 for a podium is worth a bet. You heard it here first, folks.
Jesus Christ.
Don't put your house on it.
Don't put anything on it.
Don't put your house on it.
Don't put anything on it.
But I tell you, get your car on it. Because I think it's not a sure thing by any stretch of the imagination, but if a couple of things go wrong, they are the best placed team to mop up and take the goodness of it. What is it, 12 turns?
12 turns. You'd say probably 17. 17's not really a turn, it's a kink. 6 isn't really a corner. 11 and 10 are not really a corner either. It's like a sweeping sort of swimming pool section type get up as well. So,
yep.
Anyway, a little bit of ticket prices. Let's have a look at some updated ticket prices really quickly. The people out there interested in this, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday 3-day pass will cost you $3,137. Australian. Australian.
Okay.
Yuck.
That's too much. That's too much money.
Yes, Saturday alone, a single day. These are grandstand ones too. It costs $2,039.
That's too much money.
$2,039.
That's too much money.
Friday will cost you $784. can go the whole weekend in Australia for $784.
You can go, and get the hotel as well.
Yeah, Thursday will cost you $313. And that's just...
Not okay.
That's nothing about
How do you feel it? Like, let's go. How do you feel about it, Vegas?
I'm excited because it's new. We talked about this, and novelty is going to be ridiculous. It itself is going to be ridiculous. Watching the show runs on social media that people have put up, the track is literally ice. So it's going to be a really awkward session right across the whole weekend.
How do you feel about Vegas? Racing in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm okay. We've been there before. Track differences was 3.16 Ks a long time ago.
So
and now
this ain't an F1 track. Let's not beat around the bush. This ain't an F1 track.
It's a street circuit.
We haven't got. It's not even a street circuit. It's not even a street circuit's messed up auntie. I tell you, it is so far from being that. There is not enough corners. The temperatures aren't going to work for the cars. The prices are too far out for a punter to get to, a general punter to get to. They're not actually selling tickets. However, I'm bloody excited about this job.
I'm so excited.
And it's simply because of the one thing that it's brand new. I'm looking forward to the show, and I don't usually look forward to the show.
Yeah.
The razzle-dazzle. I just hope that F1 doesn't take a backward step in amongst the Netflix race that this is going to become. Because this is just a Netflix episode ready to go.
Whereabouts in next year's Netflix will this episode be?
I don't think they'll bother with a season finale. This will be the end. Like, this will be the Abu Dhabi Max versus Hamilton.
I think this will be episode 1.
It could be, yeah. It could all be working towards it. Yeah, so, look, I am really interested in it. I can't guarantee I'll be interested in it after this weekend, but I want to see it. I want to give it a chance. There's so much that it shouldn't work for, but if anything, I've always called for Formula 1 to go to places where Formula 1 cars don't work, and so I'm interested to see what the result of that is. My biggest gripe with the whole thing is that they've just taken away from the punter. I know that Vegas is about the rich and the famous, but there's also plenty of people, like you and I can go to Vegas and have a great time.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it should be taken away from that. That part really, really bothers me. I don't like hearing that they're trying to black out parts of the track so that people in hotels can't see it because they're not getting enough sales going on. I don't like the sound of that sort of thing happening. So, yeah, I'll be interested. I'm going to be absolutely glued to my TV, but I do have that little reservation thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm not sure this is the right way to go.
There'll be plenty of times across the weekend where we're just going to look at it and just go, yuck. It's just going to be cringe-worthy information.
There's a real chance, too, that it's going to make Miami absolutely null and void. What's the purpose of Miami on the calendar?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
And so, it'll be interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how it all plays out. And they've invested so much money, so we're not leaving anytime soon.
No. Speaking of Netflix and F1-related series, tonight, 12 o'clock, I don't know, it could very well be up now, but Keanu Reeves' Disney Plus documentary on Brawn will be out tonight, 12 o'clock Australian time. You'll get up tomorrow morning, it'll be on. I don't know how many episodes, I want to say 5. It has, from what I've seen from early watchers who have had a little bit of access to it, it is ridiculously good. I cannot wait.
Fantastic.
Literally cannot wait to watch tomorrow night. If by the time we leave here, if I'm still awake, which I probably will be, I'll definitely watch an episode straight off the bat.
Do you know what my problem with these things are?
What's that?
I work them up so much that I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch them until it's the perfect conditions.
Yeah, you're a slow watcher.
Yeah, I know, but I just like there's a music doco I want to watch on Jason Isbell.
Yep. And
I've been waiting to watch it when everyone is either willing to be very quiet and watch or not in the house. And so I've got a feeling this is going to be the same. It's going to go in the same category as that. There's some things I can have watching while there's noise going on, but not this one. In fact, I very rarely watch without other people. So yeah.
See, whereas I'm the opposite, I have to watch it now because I want to be that person in the morning. Going, oh my god!
Now there's a couch in the headquarters. I need to get that TV bracket.
How good is our sign?
To get the TV up beside the sign. Mind you, the TV's going to look so small beside that sign.
The TV's going to be...
So then I can just sit back and enjoy Keanu Reeves telling me about something
that you love.
Yeah. I'm interested.
How good's the light on too? I can't believe you can't have the light off on the sign now.
No, I know.
It has to be on.
I want to somehow wire it into the lights that are in the roof, so that it all comes on together.
You know what would be cool? Just as we talk about the sign. Imagine having it change colour, like depending on the race weekend.
I've seen inside the sign.
I know.
That ain't happening. You should see. I'll show you a photo after.
Imagine on Oz GP weekend, it's like green and gold.
You should.
And then like
see.
Miami, it's like cyan and magenta.
Well, that's like when I used to threaten to drink the beers of the country that we were in.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It didn't last very long, did it?
It didn't.
Here you go. This is the internals of the sign. Look how many lights are in this bad boy.
Remember when you always like give me a hard time for showing me things on a podcast? That's a lot of lights.
Yeah, there's a lot of lights in there.
Podcasts aren't good for viewing.
No, it's very bad. Yeah,
very
good.
bad.
I like it. At least you're learning.
No.
There'll be 100 lights in there.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks very much. All signs, Watsy. Vegas, Max is going to win?
Yeah, of course he is.
There is absolutely no guarantee of this one, though. Because of these conditions, it means that there is absolutely no guarantee that Max is going to win. But if you're going to have an absolute certainty, you go in with Max because he is our best. He's the best chance of winning this one. But yeah, I'm going with Williams. I honestly think Williams is going to be the Smokey of this weekend, and yes, at $67 to be on the podium.
I cannot wait till next Tuesday where we open with this.
At what point do you bring in my beers, by the way, for dinner?
Oh, yeah, I do need to do that.
Now we're talking about bets.
Well, do you want to go double or nothing that Alex will beat? No, because it's a stupid suggestion.
I want my beer.
I'll bring him in on Tuesday. I'll bring him in on Tuesday. Goodness,
we might actually have to record a slightly earlier.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because the other good thing that's happening next week, folks,
is
we're going head-to-head again.
We're going like team manager, we're like team bosses, aren't we?
Yep. Taking on each other in our schools in the HPV racing.
What's your confidence level? Just for yourself personally.
I don't like to be overconfident, but we're very quick.
You'd be max level confident.
We're very quick.
You'd be max level.
Mind you, we were very quick last year. I think we had this conversation last year.
We did actually.
And
we had this conversation last week.
And my crew spent a lot of time upside down for the race.
Yep.
So, yeah, but anyway, we'll try and get some footage up. Because people do ask about it.
You know what I've really hoped will happen, which it won't. But that if we lock out the front row, so it's P1, P2.
Yeah, that would be good.
That'd be good. That's just like that. I'm excited for Wednesday. But anyway, yeah, you'd be max level confident in what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we're going on.
You will be. You will be doing that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I might get you overall. That's my hope.
We'll report back. Later on.
Only one of us will be downtrodden
No, I think we can both be up.
No, I'll be up regardless.
I think we can both be up. Yep. I think we'll be up.
Any exciting times?
Until then, Vegas into racing. We'll try and get the episode up before we go racing against each other.
Thanks to everyone for being patient.
Absolutely, we do appreciate it, and thank you for all those wonderful questions. It worked out beautifully. We might have to do this more often when it's a off race weekend. But anyway, until then, goodbye now.